A group of aggressive bikers at a California gas station chose the wrong target for harassment when they confronted an elegant older woman completely unaware that she was Patricia Taylor, the mother of Hollywood star Keanu Reeves. The crisp California morning air carried a hint of excitement as Keanu Reeves guided his sleek red Ferrari out of Los Angeles. Beside him, his mother Patricia Taylor sat comfortably, both dressed elegantly for the upcoming charity gala. The morning sun glinted off the car's polished surface, creating a dazzling display as they navigated through the gradually thinning city traffic. Inside the car, the leather interior created an intimate space for mother and son to discuss the day ahead, the purr of the engine providing a soothing backdrop to their conversation. "I'm really excited about this gala, Keanu," Patricia said, her eyes shining with enthusiasm. "The focus on veterans and the families left behind by the Army is so meaningful. It's amazing to see people coming together for such a cause." Keanu smiled, his hands steady on the wheel. "It's going to be a special night, Mom. You've done so much to help organize this." Their conversation flowed naturally, but fate had a surprise in store for them. As they approached a small gas station on the outskirts of Malibu, Patricia asked Keanu to stop for a quick break. "Do you mind, darling? I could use some water," she said, adjusting her scarf. Keanu pulled into the gas station and parked near the pumps. "Of course, Mom. I'll fill the tank while you grab what you need." Patricia stepped out of the car, her elegant demeanor catching the attention of a group of bikers who had just arrived on roaring Harleys. Their laughter and rowdy voices filled the air as they parked their motorcycles near the Ferrari.
"Hey, lady," one of them called out, his tone mocking. "Fancy car for a fancy woman. You sure you're not lost?" Patricia, ever composed, offered a polite smile. "Good morning, gentlemen. I'm just here to get some water." The leader of the group, a tall, burly man with a jacket patch that read Reaper, stepped closer. "What's the rush? Stay a while. We don't get classy visitors like you every day." Patricia's heart quickened, but she kept her voice steady. "Thank you for the invitation, but I'll be on my way shortly." Reaper smirked, his tone turning more aggressive. "What's the matter? Too good to chat with us?" Just then, the low rumble of another motorcycle filled the station, louder and more commanding than the others. The bikers turned toward the source of the sound as a sleek black bike pulled in. The rider dismounted, removing his helmet with a smooth motion. Keanu Reeves stood before them, his presence immediately shifting the atmosphere. "Everything okay here, Mom?" Keanu asked, his voice calm but firm as he approached. Patricia's face lit up with relief. "Keanu, what a surprise. Yes, everything's fine. These gentlemen were just introducing themselves." The bikers froze, their smug grins replaced by uneasy expressions. Reaper stammered, "Hey man, we didn't know she was your—" Keanu raised a hand, cutting him off. "Let's keep it respectful," he said evenly. His tone wasn't threatening, but the authority in his voice was undeniable. The younger bikers exchanged nervous glances before one of them muttered, "Sorry, ma'am." Patricia smiled graciously. "Thank you, gentlemen. That's very kind of you." Keanu placed a protective hand on his mother's shoulder. "Come on, Mom. Let's get what you need." As they walked into the store, the bikers stood silently, their earlier bravado completely evaporated. Inside, Patricia picked up a bottle of water while Keanu grabbed a pack of gum. The young cashier at the counter stared wide-eyed, clearly recognizing Keanu. "Oh my God, you're—" she began, her voice trembling. Keanu smiled warmly. "Hi. How's your day going?" The girl blushed deeply. "Good. Really good now." Patricia chuckled softly, watching her son's effortless ability to put people at ease. Despite his fame, he remained grounded and respectful, a trait she deeply admired. As they walked back to the car, Keanu asked, "Do you want me to stick around, Mom?" Patricia shook her head. "No, darling. You've done more than enough. I can handle myself." Keanu hesitated but eventually nodded. "Okay. Call me if you need anything." He glanced back at the bikers as he started his motorcycle. They were now awkwardly pretending to check their engines. Keanu gave them a small nod before riding off, the roar of his bike fading into the distance. Patricia got into her car but rolled down the window before leaving. "Gentlemen," she said in a kind yet firm tone, "everyone deserves respect, no matter who they are. Remember that." The bikers nodded silently, their earlier arrogance replaced by a quiet humility. As Patricia drove away, she felt a mix of pride and sadness. While she was grateful for her son's support, the encounter reminded her of how often kindness and respect were overlooked in the world. But this wasn't the end of the story. What happened next with those bikers would surprise everyone, including Patricia and Keanu. It was a turn of events that no one saw coming, a lesson in humanity that would leave everyone deeply moved. The events at the gas station lingered in the minds of the bikers as they watched Patricia's car disappear down the road. Reaper, the leader, rubbed the back of his neck awkwardly, his earlier bravado nowhere to be found. The group remained silent for a while, each of them processing what had just happened. They hadn't just crossed paths with a random woman. They had disrespected someone who clearly commanded both dignity and kindness. One of the younger bikers, a wiry man nicknamed Sparks, finally broke the silence. "Man, did you see how calm she was? She didn't yell or get scared. And Keanu Reeves, that guy didn't even need to raise his voice. He just commanded respect." Reaper nodded slowly, his tough demeanor softening. "Yeah. It's not every day you come across someone like that. We might have been out of line." Another biker, a gruff man called Tank, chimed in. "Out of line. We were downright disrespectful, Reaper. And for what? To look tough? That's not who we are." The group exchanged guilty looks. They had built their camaraderie on loyalty and toughness, but deep down, they weren't bad men. Somewhere along the way, they had let their rough exteriors define them, forgetting the values they once held dear. Reaper sighed heavily and turned to his crew. "You're right. We messed up. But sitting here feeling bad about it won't change anything. Maybe it's time we did something to make it right." Sparks raised an eyebrow. "What are you thinking?" Reaper's gaze drifted to the Ferrari that had pulled away moments earlier. "Let's find out who she is. If she's connected to Keanu Reeves, it shouldn't be too hard. And when we do, we'll make amends." Later that evening, the bikers gathered at a small diner. Using their phones, they scoured the internet, piecing together bits of information. It didn't take long to uncover Patricia Taylor's identity. The charity gala she and Keanu were attending that night was prominently featured in local news. The event was raising funds for veterans and their families, a cause that struck a chord with the bikers. Many of them were veterans themselves or had family members who had served. "Look at this," Spark said, showing his phone to the group. "The gala's at the Hilton downtown. It's not far from here." Reaper leaned back in his chair, a thoughtful expression on his face. "If we're gonna show up, we need to do it right. No leather jackets, no rough edges. This isn't about us, it's about making things right for her." The group murmured in agreement. Tank added, "We could make a donation too." "Show we mean it." Reaper nodded, a small smile breaking through his usual tough exterior. "All right, let's do it." Meanwhile, at the gala, Patricia and Keanu were mingling with other guests. The ballroom was beautifully decorated, with crystal chandeliers casting a warm glow over the crowd. The atmosphere was lively yet elegant, filled with laughter and meaningful conversations. Patricia was in her element, her natural charm and warmth drawing people to her. Keanu watched her from across the room, his heart swelling with pride. She had always been his rock, a source of unwavering support and wisdom. Tonight, she shone even brighter, her passion for the cause evident in every word she spoke. As the evening progressed, Keanu excused himself to take a call. While he was away, a stir began at the entrance to the ballroom. A group of men, dressed in neatly pressed shirts and slacks, walked in hesitantly. They looked out of place among the glittering crowd, but their sincere expressions caught the attention of the event staff. One of the bikers approached the registration table. "Excuse me," he said nervously. "We'd like to make a donation." The woman at the table smiled warmly. "Of course. How much would you like to contribute?" Reaper, standing at the front of the group, handed over an envelope. $5,000. For the veterans and their families. The woman's eyes widened slightly. That's incredibly generous. Thank you so much. As the bikers entered the ballroom, heads turned. Patricia, curious about the commotion, looked toward the entrance. Her eyes widened in surprise as she recognized the men from the gas station. They looked completely different. Gone were the leather jackets and tough attitudes. Instead, they stood awkwardly, holding their hats in their hands, their expressions a mix of humility and determination. Reaper stepped forward, his gaze locking with Patricia's. He hesitated for a moment before speaking. "Ma'am, I don't know if you remember us, but we met earlier today at the gas station. We weren't exactly on our best behavior." Patricia's lips curled into a small smile. "I remember." Reaper took a deep breath. "We came here tonight to apologize. The way we treated you was wrong. It was disrespectful, and it's not who we want to be. We've also made a donation to the cause you're supporting. It's the least we could do." The room fell silent, the sincerity in Reaper's voice cutting through the noise. Patricia stepped closer, her eyes softening. "Thank you," she said gently. "It takes courage to admit when you're wrong and to make amends. I appreciate that more than you know." Reaper nodded, his relief evident. Sparks, standing behind him, chimed in, "You and your son taught us something today, about respect and kindness. We want to do better." At that moment, Keanu returned to the ballroom, his eyes narrowing slightly as he spotted the bikers. He approached his mother protectively, but Patricia touched his arm, signaling that everything was fine. "These gentlemen were just apologizing," she explained, her tone filled with warmth. Keanu's expression softened as he looked at the bikers. "It takes a big person to own up to their mistakes. Thank you for coming here tonight." Reaper extended his hand. "No, thank you, for showing us what it means to be better." Keanu shook his hand firmly, a small smile tugging at his lips. "Enjoy the evening. It's for a great cause." As the night went on, the bikers mingled with the crowd, their initial awkwardness giving way to genuine conversations. They listened to stories from veterans and their families, gaining a deeper understanding of the struggles they faced. By the end of the night, they had not only redeemed themselves but also forged connections that would stay with them forever. As Patricia and Keanu left the gala, they spotted the bikers gathered outside, chatting quietly among themselves. Reaper noticed them and approached. "Ma'am, Mr. Reeves," he began, his voice steady but emotional. "Thank you for giving us the chance to make things right. Tonight was an eye-opener for all of us." Patricia placed a hand on his arm, her eyes filled with compassion. "We all make mistakes. What matters is how we choose to move forward. And tonight, you've shown that you're capable of great kindness." Reaper nodded, his gratitude evident. "If there's ever anything we can do to help with your cause, just let us know." Keanu smiled. "Keep spreading the message. Respect and kindness. It starts with people like you." As the bikers watched Patricia and Keanu drive away, they felt a sense of purpose they hadn't experienced in years. The encounter had started with a mistake, but it ended with a lesson in humanity that none of them would forget. For Patricia and Keanu, the evening was a reminder of the power of forgiveness and the impact of small acts of kindness. For the bikers, it was the beginning of a journey toward becoming the best versions of themselves. The world wasn't perfect, but nights like this proved that change was always possible. And sometimes, all it took was a moment of courage to set things right.